Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. And the Tories have pulled the starting lever on a process against John Healey. John Healey, they claim, has broken ministerial code. Therefore, he must answer to the relevant authorities. It emerged, and I've covered this before, but it emerged that he released the Defence and Security report to journalists and to industry before it was presented to Parliament. Both of these are strictly very poor form. However, when it comes to releasing it to industry, that has very serious consequences. Imagine, for example, that you gave this report to an industry, industry analyst at 8 o'clock in the morning, just as the stock market's opened. He has a quick squiz through, sees, going to be building all these nuclear submarines. I'm going to go invest and put, £10,000 in Vickers, for example. And then when it's announced to Parliament 2 hours later, look at that, Vickers are going to get all that extra work. Boom, everyone buys their shares. Up goes the share price. This guy put 10,000 on at night, 8 o'clock in the morning. He's sitting there now going, creaming it in. It's called insider dealing. And it is a crime. And if John Healey's done that, and somebody has, then John Healey is as guilty of that as well. He's provided the information. He may well have been providing it in good faith in what he thought was confidentiality agreements, but that doesn't cut water. He's been involved in insider dealing, and that's it. Now, James Cartledge, the shadow Defence Secretary for the Tories, and the Commons leader, Jesse Norman, they've written to the Cabinet Secretary, to him, Chris Wormold, the Cabinet Secretary, he's the Sir Humphrey, if you like, asking whether Healey's actions have breached three separate sections of the Ministerial Code, which I've got here. One, sharing commercially sensitive information with journalists. Section 8.11 says where commercially sensitive material is involved, no copies should be made available to the media before publication. Now, the Tories say the review was given at 10 o'clock in the morning, but it was in the hands of the journalists 8 o'clock, 2 hours earlier on the same day, as I mentioned. So therefore, that is definitely a breach. Number two, when Healey said the Tories did not share a copy of the Defence Command paper refresh with him in 2023, that's what he said. He lied, because they did, and they've got the receipts. Ministerial Section 1.6. It is paramount importance that ministers give accurate and truthful information to Parliament, correcting any inadvertent error at the earliest opportunity. So man stood in Parliament and lied, saying, I didn't. And yet they said, yes, we did. Yes, he did. Cartledge made a point on that, of a point of order during the debate. And Healey said, we have followed the procedure from the last Defence Review, when the Shadow Defence Secretary, the Honourable Member for South Suffolk, was a Defence Minister. I was the Shadow Defence Secretary at the time. We had no advance copy of the review. He lied for a second time. Cartledge said that he did, and he knows it because they've got the receipts. They can show it. They can show it as being receipted to him. Why are you lying, John Healey? Why do you keep lying? Why do they all keep lying? Anyway, the third one they're trying to get him on, sharing information about the Strategic Defence Review with journalists before it's announced in Parliament, breaks the Ministerial Code, because when 9.1 of the Code says when Parliament is in session, which it is, and the most important announcements of government's policy should be made in the first instance in Parliament. But this was heavily trailed to the press and industry beforehand. That is a clear breach. And so they are running around like blue-ass flies, trying to defend John Healey. This is Labour. They're trying to get this lifted away and said, blah, 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 blah. One of the lines they're using is, the Tories did it. Well, just because the Tories did it doesn't mean he can do it. It's still a breach. Somebody else did it before me. It's not a defence in law, is it? You murdered someone. Yeah, but somebody else has murdered someone before. That's not a defence. Healey, you've got to resign. And I would love to see it. So screw you. And screw them all. Thanks very much. Bye.